Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. The subject of my seminar is the effect of fermented diet on growth and human life protein level in honeybee colonies, Apis mellifera. The importance of bees to humans is of several aspects. Bee pollination is the result of biodiversity in plant and of security for humans. Honeybee production is used as a human food and used in apitherapy. According to the verses 68 and 69 of Surah Al-Nahl in the Holy Quran, honeybee colony as a pattern for teaching. Honeybee needs a range of elements to satisfy their nutrition requirement for normal growth and development. These elements include proteins, amino acids, carbohydrates, mineral, fat, lipids, vitamins and mineral, and water. Nectar is the primary source of energy in the form of carbohydrate. Pollen is composed of a range of chemical components which are necessary for a honeybee colony survival and success. Pollen is rarely consumed by the bees before it is stored in the cell of comb. When bees mix pollen with nectar and other glandular secretion, the pollen is incubated with microorganisms, and by reducing the pH through fermentation, it is preserved from deleterious action and microorganisms. This improves the pollen's digestibility and nutritive value. A wide range of different microorganisms like yeasts and molds have been discovered that are important for changing pollen to bee bread. According to Gregory research on the subject, protein diets and their effect on worker weight, longevity, consumption, and hemolymph protein level of Apis mellifera, increase hemolymph protein and not change food consumption, decrease measure mortality, and not change in bee weight. According to the Rezai research on the subject, protein supplement in ceiling effect on palatability, hemolymph protein, carcass protein, brood rearing and population growth of honeybee colony, increase hemolymph protein, no change population growth, no change brood rearing, and increase food consumption and not change bee weight. According to the Ellis and Heiss research on the subject and evaluation of fresh versus fermented diets for honeybee Apis mellifera, no change population growth and brood rearing, but increase food consumption and not change bee weight. According to Babai research on the subject use of probie diets as a supplement pollen in worker bee nutrition and its effect on body weight and protein and fat storage, increase population growth, increase brood rearing, and food consumption needs increase, decrease measure mortality, and not change bee weight. According to the Zhejiang on the subject, pollen substitute increase honeybee hemolymph protein level as much as or more than the pollen increase hemolymph protein. And according to Nehzati Pagal research on the subject studying the digestibility of some protein supplement in honeybees, increase population growth, increase brood rearing, increase food consumption, and decrease mortality and not change in bee weight. The study attempted to develop a fermented diet similar to bee bread. We hypothesized that our product would have a pH similar to bee bread, and bees would consume fermented diet at higher rate than unfermented ones. The experiment was conducted in Karaj City on September until November. Experiment in the field, it was conducted with 26 colonies having the same age sister queen population, the M square centimeter brood rearing and final colony B population were measured. For diet were used in this experiment, their diets consisted a protein-free diet with sucrose syrup, 50%, pollen, frozen pollen prepared from colony of the University of Tehran in Karaj, mixed with honey, non-fermented diet, and fermented diets. In the cage study, group of 120 newly emerged European honeybee collected from the colony of the University of Iran in Karaj were mixed and placed into hoarding cage. The cage with bee were maintained an incubator with no light at 32 centigrade and about 60% relative humidity. The bees randomly received one of the 4 diets that mentioned previously in field experiment. 5 cages of bees were prepared for each diet. Each group was fed 5 grams, one of the experimental diet for 5 days. Sucrose syrup and water was given ad libitum to all group. Experimental treatment included control treatment with sugar syrup, pollen treatment, non-fermented diet, and fermented diets. Dietary ingredients included corn gelatin meal, soybean meal, pollen, egg powder, honey, sugar powder, herbal oil, and vitamins and mineral supplement. To preparation of diets, a ratio was formulated using corn gelatin meal and another ingredient. With the same ingredient, a fermented diet was prepared using the fermentation process described by Carrel 1996 and stored in plastic bag and cells. The cells container placed in the incubator at 30 centigrade for 3 days and then at room temperature for 2 weeks. To ensure fermentation, pH of fermented diets was measured before and after fermentation. According to this study, for the amount of square centimeter brood rearing, we found a non-significant diet effects. Numerically, the highest number of brood rearing was 862.50 centimeter for pollen treatment, and lowest amount of 30.88 was for unfermented diets. The result also show brood rearing was greater in the first period than second and third period, but difference between the second and third period was not significant. For the population size, in the field experiment, we found a significant diet effect between control and non-fermented diets, and a non-significant difference between fermented diets and pollen. Also, population size were numerically greater in fermented diets than the pollen and non-fermented diets. Population size also greater in first period than the second and third period, but there was no significant difference between the second and third period. The amount of diet consumed in the cage trial with significantly difference among diets, and the highest feed consumption was for pollen treatment and lowest was for non-fermented diets. This result agree with Ellis and Hayes and Babai. Diet consumption was greater the first period than the second and third period, but there was no significant difference between the second and third periods. A greater hemolymph protein was observed for bee feed, pollen, and fermented diets than control and non-fermented diets. The highest amount of hemolymph protein was observed for pollen treatment and lowest for control treatment. Hemolymph protein in first and third period was greater than second period, but the first and the third period was similar. Fermenting of diets had some benefits such as easier storage in room temperature, improved palatability of the feed, increased nutritional value of the products. Fermentation decreased the pH of diets that it looked like bee bread. Dietary fermentation had no significant effect on brood rearing. Dietary fermentation had no significant effect on population size in field experiment. Dietary fermentation had significant effect on hemolymph protein in cage. Dietary fermentation had significant effect on diet consumption. Studying the nutrition of other forms of fermented diet, such as dry powdered and syrup soluble, the effect of fermented diet in other seasons are examined, and the effect of fermented feed on overwintering bee colonies were investigated. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. اسماعيل. نفتح باب الأسئلة. معنا سؤالين. إذا حدا بحب عنده سؤال، أستاذ اسماعيل. كله واضح دكتورة. بس دقيقة خليه.
السلام عليكم.
السلام عليكم.
ممتنين لتقديم المحاضرة. حقيقة بدي لو تعطينا توضيح أكثر بخصوص التركيبة اللي مرت بالبرزنتيشن واللي أعطت أعلى مستوى توسع حضنة في الدراسة اللي قدمتها حضرتك. شكرا جزيلا.
I don't understand your question.
When your presentation. Sorry, sir. When your presentation is past one page, it's include many combination from pollen and sugar and many supplement you use in your studies. Can you explain which your combination, the best combination to get a best broad of population?
Yes. من فارسی بگم به کردی ترجمه میشه؟ فارسی ترجمه میکنه. ببینید ما بحثی که داشتیم در رابطه با این بودش که زنبور عسل وقتی خودش میخواد بیاد گرده رو مصرف بکنه، گرده رو خیلی کم و به ندرت به صورت تازه مصرف میکنه. اول میاد اونو تخمیر میکنه به صورت نان گرده، نان زنبور بی برد و بعد مصرف میکنه. بر همین اساس ما هم این جیره مکمل گرده رو که درست کرده بودیم اومدیم تخمیرش کردیم که در حقیقت الگویی بگیریم از خود زنبور و وقتی اینو تخمیر کردیم و بررسی کردیم در برخی از فاکتورها روی رشد کلونی و میزان پروتئین همولنف و میزان مرگ میر اثرات معنیدار و مثبتی داشت. اما در آزمایشی که در صحرا داشتیم با توجه به اینکه در فصل پاییز بود و قاعدتاً روند جمعیت خودش رو به کاهش هستش تأثیر معنیداری روی رشد جمعیت نداشت، ولی در کل با توجه به نتایج این آزمایش ما تخمیر خود گرده رو که میخواید مصرف کنید و همچنین تخمیر جانشین گرده رو توصیه میکنیم برای بهتر شدن اثرش روی زنبور.
May I have a question, please? Do you have this product as a finished product, as a commercial product, or it's not?
According to the result of the experiments, we suggest the pollen substitute and pollen supplement be fair use fermented and used for.
My question: do you have this product as a finished product, commercial product, or just for research?
No, just for research.
Just for research. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ismail.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ismail.